What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda. A brand new week, and a week that sees the Reds in action twice. Wednesday, we travel to Paris to take on Paris Saint-Germain, and then Southampton at home on Saturday. And hopefully, it is a fruitful week for Slot and the boys. So tonight, we're going to speak about the Alexander Isak story that came from Sasha Tavolieri. We're going to go a little bit further into the situation with Milos Kerkez and a couple of other interesting bits and pieces to go through, including Liverpool being the first football club to get 10 million YouTube subscribers. So there we go, loads to go through tonight. As always, appreciate you being here with us. Do let us know your thoughts on all the subjects that we discuss, and if there's anything in particular you'd like me to tackle, well then throw it into the chat and we'll get there. So, where to go tonight to kick us off, ladies and gents? Well, do you know what? Let's start with the YouTube thing, because I think it's very interesting. So, Liverpool have become the first Premier League club, or the first football club, no, the first Premier League club, to reach 10 million YouTube subscribers. And then there's a picture of Virgil van Dijk with the YouTube Play Button Award. So congratulations to the club on that one. Always great to see that we are the first to do anything, to be honest. So to hit 10 million, nice. Well done to Virgil, to Liverpool, and everybody at the media department. I mean, they do put out some great content. I'm sure you guys will agree. As Liverpool fans, the more Liverpool content we can get, the better. And the club's YouTube channel certainly does deliver on that front. So well done to everybody involved. I wouldn't mind an L 1 million one myself now, not to be greedy, but 10 million. Wow. It just shows you, though, doesn't it, the way modern media has evolved now. Clubs' own YouTube channel generating 10 million subscribers and lots of fun along the way as well. So well done to everybody, right? Oh yeah, you might notice I'm wearing it tonight. It arrived today. The Where's the Money John t-shirt did arrive today, or hoodie I should say. And you know what? It's quite comfortable. So there we go. And I love the logo that's blended in behind the Where's the Money John. It looks quite sharp. I was worried about how the printing was going to turn out, but I'm a happy customer. So, ladies and gents, we'll go through it all tonight. There's always anything you want to go through, let me know. I'm getting nervier as Wednesday approaches. I'm still confident, but I recorded the Paris Saint-Germain preview earlier on today, and that went up, well, actually it's going up tomorrow morning. Sorry, I know my wife's coming back because I can hear my dog bark, and that lets me know Sabrina's pulling up outside. Isn't it mad that the dogs can listen and hear your engine? Liz said the hoodie looks great. Thank you, Liz. Sorry, my dog's absolutely going barkity bark bark. Can you hear him? That's just because somebody's home. He's just excited, that's all. David Lynch is going to hate your jersey. I don't care what he thinks anymore, to be honest with you. Little coward hiding behind blocking us. Don't care anymore. Him and the rest of the journalists can do one as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to proudly sport my Where's the Money John hoodie until he gives me a reason to not ask the question. So look, who are the guys in your live appearance poster? Well, if you were around Longley, you'd know who they are. So the guys are Jack 6-0 Gill, former contributor to the channel, Steve Bland, another contributor, Chris Stonage, again, another contributor, and Connor, who is the other half of Anfield Agenda. So that's that's all the lads in the picture. We tried to get everybody that was involved in the channel in some way involved in this show. Cash was another lady who was with us at one point, but she's on her honeymoon for the show, so can't come along, which is understandable, to be fair. But yeah, they're all people that were a little part of the channel, or a big part of the channel, as we developed. Right. Well, Craig, sad that he did that. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Not just saying didn't want to work with us anymore, but to block us on social media like a pussy. I don't know what else to say. But any goodwill I had towards him went out the window after that little cowardly act. But, you know, it's what I expect from these guys. Great behind keyboards when standing up for the owners, but no backbone to actually call out the stuff. But I'm here to do it for them, so we move on. Right, an interesting piece from Anfield Watch today that I thought would be a fun one to kick us off. And then we'll go into a quick ad read from our friends at Surfshark. But to kick us off and give you guys something to think about over the 83 seconds, clubs are queuing up, according to Anfield Watch, to sign Luis Diaz, and Liverpool could well have a bidding war on their hands. And the reason I bring this piece up is I wanted to tie it into something that John Aldridge said in his Echo piece. So while I let you guys have a quick think about that, I just have to play a quick 83-second ad from our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. But don't go anywhere, because we're going to get right back into it and ask, do you think we will be selling Luis Diaz this summer? And if yes, why? This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month. Simply scan the QR code on screen right now. Right, my friends, as promised, we are back, and thank you for your patience, and thank you, of course, to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. So, I mentioned beforehand that I wouldn't be in any rush to sell Luis Diaz, but something from John Aldridge got me thinking, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Right, let's go with a couple of super chats that came in while I was away. How are you, bro? What a hoodie. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate you. And yeah, it just arrived today, so I thought I'd chuck it on and see how it feels. But yeah, I'm happy with my purchase. Tanya said, do we think we sell both number 1 and number 2 from the goalkeeping department? I'd be very surprised if we did. It would be a lot of change, Tanya, wouldn't it, in one window? But to get back to the Diaz conversation, so I often read John Aldridge's opinion piece that he puts in the Echo. I think it's once a week, and this one spoke a little bit about Anthony Gordon, as if he thinks that maybe Liverpool will go back in for Anthony Gordon, because the initial part was John Aldridge speaking about the fact that Anthony Gordon looks likely to miss the League Cup final because of his red card. And I wanted to tie it both in, because we've definitely seen an increase in stories around Liverpool potentially listening to offers for Diaz. But I'd be surprised if we went back in for Anthony Gordon. So I wanted to kind of gauge your thoughts on it. Do you think the Reds may revisit Anthony Gordon? Surely Newcastle wouldn't want to sell Gordon and ISAK in one window. That would be a huge amount of upheaval, and of course we've seen Anthony Gordon sign a new deal with Newcastle, so I was a little bit surprised to see that in John Aldridge's piece. But you know, he's far better connected to the club than I am, and I don't know if he's speaking out of optimism or if he's speaking because maybe he thinks that there's still some business to be done there. It's an interesting one, and I wouldn't be against it if that was the trade-off. I wouldn't actively want to sell Diaz, but if you look at the age profile, you can think, all right, you can see a world where maybe Liverpool think if you're going to cash in on Diaz at any point, now's the right time to do it. And you probably still get a rather hefty fee for him. But I think most of us love Lucho and think that he's a great part of our squad. But we've always got an inkling or an idea that he's itchy feet and maybe he wants a move. We've seen links to Barcelona in the past, and this Anfield Watch story saying that Liverpool could have a bidding war on their hands for Luis Diaz and the clubs are queuing up for his services. That would be an interesting turn of events. Diaz criticism is unfair. I don't see the criticism, Muckrab. So again, can we stop cry arson? Every time somebody says anything in any way possible about a player, there's always somebody whinging in the comments about the criticism. I haven't criticised them once. Not one single syllable of criticism has come out of my mouth. But we can't ignore the likelihood that he may get sold. You know, whatever you think and I think, it is what it is. So we're going to have to just roll with the punches. I've actively said I wouldn't sell him, but if we're looking to sell him to bring in somebody different, well then, you know, that's up to the club and the manager. But we got to talk about it, right? We can't just bury our heads in the sand. And I get it. Look, I'm never going to be a happy clapper who just thinks everything is brilliant and agrees with everything. That's just not the way I'm wired. But I'm trying to be balanced in how I'm covering this, because I didn't write the pieces. You didn't write the pieces. But people are going to have their opinions and they might not align with yours. So we've got to just take that one on the chin. So in the world where we accept that Luis Diaz may be moved on, and let me say, I think it can be dangerous if we do all these bits of business that have been linked. Like, I don't want us to see a summer where we sell Diaz, Darwin and Jota. That's too much in one window for the forward department. So I think a far more sensible ply would be to bring in a centre forward and maybe replace Diaz if he wants to move. But I wouldn't be looking to move him on. I don't care. Mark sent me a message going, he said it was a general comment. I don't care what it was. All he ever does is fucking cry arse at me about any criticism. And I tried to be fair with Muckrab, but in the chat yesterday it's, can we not go negative? Mate, I'll say what I want to say. And if you want to listen, great. If you don't, move on. But you're too soft. You need to harden up a little bit. Because players are going to be criticised. And if you want to go and watch somebody who doesn't criticise them or doesn't talk about possible outcomes, there's plenty of channels there for you. I might not be it. But you're not going to dictate my stream to me. So I hope we're on the same page here. Sesko we're going to move on to in a little bit, Joshua, because it's a very interesting subject there that I wanted to go through as well. A little bit from Michael Owen here, because he's once again piped up. And one thing that made me piss myself reading this piece here with comments from Michael Owen was that one of his comments were that he has a liver bird burned into his heart. Fuck you. Nah, I'm sorry, I'm not having that from Owen. People may disagree with me, but I definitely never feel like he has a liver bird burned into his heart, because you don't go and play for United from Liverpool if that's the case. You don't go and run off to Madrid and then cry arse about getting called out on it. But anyway, I digress. Michael Owen said that his gut feeling, now again, not inside information, but his gut feeling is that he believes Trent will leave for Real Madrid. Now this is kind of a little bit different to what we're seeing written in the media, because a couple of the Echo journalists have been more upbeat on their coverage of this situation and said that they think there's a chance Liverpool get Owen to extend. Now, or the club are optimistic, not Owen, Jesus Christ, Craig. Trent to extend. I don't know where it ends up, like I've said, but I'm starting to run out of patience with the whole situation in general of, well, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. You know, you can't keep saying we're trying. You got to get it done or move on at this point with all of them, not just with Trent, but Trent certainly seems like the most volatile of the situations. So what are your thoughts on that one? Do you agree with Michael Owen? Do you think that Trent will likely move on? You know, look, I've tried to look at this situation with Trent with open eyes and think sometimes I can probably be a little bit harsh on him. I think that's fair. Sometimes I can probably look a little bit too deep into the situation, and I guess I've got to acknowledge as well that he has won everything at Liverpool, and sometimes that can be enough of a reason to think, you know what, something new in my career. And like I've always said, I'm fine. I just want honesty from Trent on this situation. I want to know what he's doing. But Michael Owen, that just made me piss myself when I seen him talking about a liver bird. Now look, I'm not Michael Owen. Maybe he's right. Maybe he does love Liverpool as much as he says he does. But actions again. Actions. Did you see Fowler's theory? Was that the one about the two boys being signed up and potentially waiting for Trent? Yeah, look, that's already been rubbish by the players. We've seen repeatedly that there's no agreement done for Mo and Virgil yet. As much as we'd love there to be, and God, when I heard that from from Robbie Fowler, I was hoping it was the case, because, you know, that would be a big weight off my mind, knowing that two of the boys are extended. But no, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Let's talk about Newcastle for a quick moment. So Eddie Howe was given a bit of an update, and he said that Alexander Isak is expected to be fine, but there's still no timescale for Lewis Hall after a recent trip to a specialist. So Newcastle are getting these injuries and suspensions at the very wrong time. You know, we know now that They're going to be missing Anthony Gordon for the League Cup final. Lewis Hull looks like he's out for a little bit as well. And then there's still some uncertainty, although no immediate risk for Alexander Isak. It feels like the gods are conspiring against them here. And I'm getting more and more confident as each day goes by, because when the final became clear who we were playing, I won't lie, I was nervous. I was thinking this is going to mean so much to Newcastle and their fans, and they're going to prioritise it, and they're going to make sure that they save their best for that final. But now they're starting to pick up knocks and injuries, and with Gordon being suspended, that was a huge weight off my mind, because he worries me. You know, yes, he's a bit inconsistent, but the pace that he has and his ability to take men on and win free kicks, I was very... Look, I'm not going to lie, I was happy to hear that he was going to be missing the game. Who's calling mods idiots? Anybody calls my mod an idiot, ban, bye-bye. No time for you. Show the respect that they deserve, or off you pop. I'll always back my moderators in these situations, because they do really important stuff and really important help for us. Paul, thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Paul. Thank you, sir. I didn't put in a comment, but again, thank you. ISAK and Gordon got a good connection, might work. So, and thank you, Sam. Really, really kind of you. I wanted to ask that question on Anthony Gordon. Do you think it's still possible? So, 1 second. Right, so I want to just ask, do you think Gordon to Liverpool is possible? Yes or no? For the first poll of the night. Sorry. There's a hair. I know, ironic, but there's a hair on my keyboard. Oh, yeah, something easy on the keyboard. I'm one of those one finger typists, mate, definitely. ISAK and Gordon would allow 3 forward sales, said George Davidson. Yeah, so when we're talking about the forward situation, at least at the back of my mind, I'm thinking about Jayden Danns as an option here, as somebody who, if we did move players on, may come in to take up one of those attacking spots. So I kind of don't disagree with what you've said about those two guys would maybe free up 3 spots in general. I certainly had put it out of my mind, the whole idea about Anthony Gordon, until I started to see a few more things. Like the Echo have been doing a couple of pieces where they keep mentioning Gordon, and then John Aldridge again today. And even in the commentary world, when you're watching games, you often see it keep coming back up. And we know that Anthony Gordon's a Liverpool fan, and we know that Anthony Gordon is open to it, because, you know, there was lots of talk when he was away with England that he was up for that move. Would I take Mbeumo? Yes, I would. Absolutely. I've always been very open about that. I think Brian Mbeumo's a class act. And when I found out that he was only 24 as well, that really surprised me. I thought he was about 27, 28. Newcastle won't give up Gordon and ISAK, no way. Gino, I agree. I mean, if I was a Newcastle fan and I read that was possible, I'd lose my mind. So, mate, I'm not saying that these are likely, which is why I'm asking. For instance, I don't think it's worth spending the money that's been mentioned for ISAK. I just don't think he's worth £150 million or anything close to it. For me, as I said last night, I'd be doing business at 100 million max. So I keep seeing these stories being linked. And while we're talking about ISAK, let's get to the main part of tonight's stream, which was Sashi Cavalieri saying that Liverpool are in contact with Alexander Isak's representatives and they're prepared to make an offer in the summer. Newcastle price tag, according to Sashi Cavalieri, well, according to many people to be fair, is £150 million. 150 million Great British pounds. That's just inconceivable to me that we spend that much money. when we probably have 3 or 4 positions to sort out. And yes, we will recoup some money when we sell some players, but it's not worth it. As good as he is, and I don't think anybody has any doubts about the man's calibre in front of goal, allowing for his injury track record, you couldn't be dropping £150 million or anything like it on ISAK. It seems crazy. Do you agree? Like 150 million. I don't think anybody is going to pay that money. Even Arsenal and the desperation stakes that they're in for a centre forward. You've got to take into consideration his injury record and think, all right, maybe we have to try and haggle this down. But don't get me wrong, I want ISAK. I'm sure many of you guys and girls want ISAK. I'm not at all displeased if Liverpool sign ISAK. But again, I'd like it to be at a number that has some type of sense to it. Which, to be fair to Edwards and Hughes or the recruitment team, I don't expect them to pay £150 million if they do get it done. I think they'd get it done at a lower price. But it could depend on how much pressure Newcastle are under. You know, do they get Champions League football? If they do, it becomes a far tougher assignment to sign ISAK for anyone. Tom, how are you, bro? Tom said Kudus still seems like a good fit and versatile. I'm not sure on Kudus, but that's just a personal preference. I think I watch him sometimes and I see it, and I see what everybody sees. And then I watch him other times and I just think, does he have the work rate to come back and defend for us in the way Arna would want? And look, I probably don't fully know the answer to that in all honesty, but I've just not seen his name really mentioned either. Look, there's a load of players that I wouldn't be displeased if Liverpool signed, and he's probably one of them. But it's hard to look at value when you see Premier League to Premier League signings these days. For instance, I've seen a few pieces today about Milos Kerkez, and a lot of the pieces were talking about a number of £40 million. I don't think that that's going to get it done for Kerkez. I think Bournemouth are going to ask for upwards of £50 million. So, you know, there's lots of high numbers being thrown around. But what we do know is, and remember from when we spoke with Mo Chatra about this, that Liverpool are known within the industry to be miserly on these things. So I don't see us going out there and going, oh, you want 150 million? Okay, let's pay it. Just doesn't seem likely. Cunha's attitude is way too much for us. We don't want to upset the dressing room. So, look, on Cunha, I feel like we're taking a big leap here. He got a really petulant red card, you know, that I don't think any manager can defend or would defend, or any fan could defend. But I don't know if he's a problem in a dressing room or not. I've never met the man. I don't know what he trains like. Obviously, he was made Wolves captain, so the manager has to have had some indication that he was a leader. You know, I never judge anybody for one rash moment and a red card, but I can see why others would have concern, but I think it's just a big leap for us to say, oh, he'd be a problem. I heard the same thing about Daniel Sturridge when Liverpool were signing him. Oh, he's a big-time Charlie, oh, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't have been any further from the truth. Everybody you speak to about Studge said he was a lovely fella, was great around the club, was great with the younger players. And yes, he had injury concerns, but that's a different conversation. So I think we've got to be careful when we're talking about players' attitudes like that, especially when we really have no idea. Saudi targeting Szoboszlai for 110 million. Well, they're not going to get him, first and foremost. And he doesn't strike me as the type of lad who wants to leg it over there for some money. He's at the very, very start of a very promising career. What is he now, 23? Szoboszlai, something like that. So he has years and years to go. I don't think Saudi's on his radar. Nor should it be. You know, nobody dreams about playing in half-filled stadiums. Let's be honest, they don't. You might dream about the money side of it, but nobody dreams of playing inside half-empty stadiums with has-beens like Ronaldo. It's not only one time, Craig. He seems to have anger issues. Also elbowed a staff member one time and his attitude seems off. Look, again, I don't know him personally. I'm not trying to dismiss any concerns, Ori. I think, you know, concerns are normal and natural. But I'm just trying to say, let's not go overboard with it, because, you know, Luis Suarez was a handful, but my God, what a player on the pitch he was for us. Wayne Rooney, I'm sure United fans will tell you Wayne Rooney had certainly a lot of aggression in him, but it's about trying to harness that aggression. And if you can, which United managed to do on many occasions with Rooney, if you can harness that aggression and keep it in a player's game, that can be powerful. I just don't think Gordon is as good as Luis Diaz. Well, I don't think he is either. But he isn't as old as Luis Diaz. And I think that's an important aspect here. Whilst what you've said is a fair statement, and if you're saying to me who's a better player, I'm saying Luis Diaz. But Anthony Gordon's still 5 or 6 years younger. Or maybe, 5 years I think younger than Luis Diaz. So that's 5 years worth of experience. He's going to pick up. So I think if you say who has a higher ceiling, I'd probably say Anthony Gordon. I think by the end of Gordon's career, he'll have become a better player than Luis Diaz is now. But again, that's just my opinion. Arthur said, the MLS fills out more than the SPL. Do you know what? We were talking about the MLS last night, and I used to be an avid watcher of the MLS when it was on Sky Sports. But when they moved to Apple, that killed me watching the MLS, because I am not paying extra on top of all my sports subscriptions to watch the MLS. And I think a lot of people probably felt the same. You know, they got Messi in, and that's very well and good, and it's a huge impact on the league. But when they moved to Apple TV behind that paywall, that was the end of me watching the MLS. And many people, I think, are in a similar boat. You know, when it was on your Sky Sports package, you thought, brilliant. And I used to love the kickoff times. It suits my late nights. But yeah, I haven't seen a minute of it since it's gone to Apple TV. We can't give up Núñez and Lucho for an injury-prone ISAK. Recipe for disaster. So again, a lot of this is hypotheticals. And I think if you do take the risk on ISAK, and as you've said, it is a risk, right? It is. The calibre of the player, brilliant. But it is a risk. I think that has to be reflected in the price tag. But maybe your opinion is, it doesn't matter what the price tag is, we need somebody who we can rely on. And I get it. No pushback from me on it. In fact, I had a similar stance last night. I think they're better value elsewhere. And we're going to talk about Benjamin Sesko in a while. And he has a release clause that became clear today. And we're going to talk about the numbers there as well. Adam Roach. And by the way, I want to go back to Mukarab. If you're still watching in the background, mate, really quickly. Don't want to fall out with him because he's a very polite guy. But we just need to nip this stuff in the bud about anybody not being able to be in any way critical of anyone and it being called hate or whatever. It's a bit wearing at times. People should be allowed to have varying opinions or be critical. I'm not even talking about my opinions here. But too many things these days get labelled as hate when somebody says, oh, should have scored that. Can we stop the blank blank hate? It's not hate. It's a criticism. So we have to allow a world where we're allowed to be critical. You know, I'll never let it go over the line into toxicity in the chat, and nor will the moderators, nor would you guys. One selfish little thing to say, actually, if I may. I spent a good while today going through, I don't know if you've seen the video that Connor posted on the Clips channel. Somebody mentioned it to me in the chat last night. I don't even remember the title of the video. It's something like how Anfield Agenda changed Craig's life. Something along those lines. I didn't even know he'd put that clip out. But this speaks to the calibre of Connor. He said, I could see you were down and I thought you needed a boost. And I knew that that video would give people an explanation of how you are, who you are. But I digress, because I wanted to say thank you to everyone that commented on it, because it's the only video in the history of our channel I've read through and not seen one negative comment. Every single one of them were beautiful. My wife and I read through them earlier on. And it will mean more than you'll ever know to have that support from people who watched that video. So thank you again to everyone that watched it. I hope it gives you just an insight into what makes me me, and what makes me the moody so-and-so that I am. But I appreciate you all so much for those words. It was beautiful. Thank you. Right. Adam said, I think all deals combined this summer could be the biggest we've ever had if the players in the positions we need are bought. I agree. But the key question here for me, Adam, is what will the net spend be at the end of the summer? Like, it's not... if we have a good summer, we have a good summer. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, we filled all the positions, but I wanted us to have had a bigger net. It's interesting, though, because I think about 90 million is their biggest net spend window so far, which is the Soboslai Gravenberch window. So let's see what the net spend is. But if we can do all the business we need to do for a reasonable number with some outgoings, I'm not against that at all either. Benjamin said, does anybody know ISAK's injury record? Just go on to... there's a couple of physio sites, or go on to Transfermarkt and you can find it all there, my man. I don't have it to hand, but I'd imagine it's quite extensive. Muckrab said, I completely get what you mean, Craig, and I do agree. I just overly defend players. Look, that's a beautiful trait, my friend. It is a beautiful trait, and I don't want to knock that out of you. I just want you to know that when people do be a little bit critical at times, and sometimes you're right, man, sometimes it does go over the top, and we try to call that out. But, you know, we're human, and sometimes we get wound up as well by players. But you're a class act, mate, and I always love seeing you in the chat, so I appreciate you get where I'm coming from. Connor's a class act in you too, said David Purcell. Craig, we have your back. Said, yeah, look, honestly, it was beautiful. And I really, really want you to know how much it meant to me to read all those comments. I think ISAK will be fine with our medical team. Not many top-class strikers out there, said Chris Davies, who's with us 9 months as a member. You're right, Chris. There isn't, you know, and that's why I guess the premium is on ISAK at the minute, because you've got, in world football, Harry Kane, who's at the tail end of his career. You've got Erling Braut Haaland, who, of course, is at Manchester City on a ridiculously long contract. And then you've got a handful of others out there. But ISAK's probably the standout one that we can see. And you got to pay a premium for that. But you've also got to take into consideration the injury record. And look, maybe you're right. Maybe our medical team could do better. But I don't want to slander Newcastle's medical team either, because I don't really understand if these issues can be managed, or if perhaps it's just something that is going to have his whole career. Best Liverpool goal of the season so far. Oh, Christian, we went through this last night, and I'm so ditzy that my memory just blanks who scored what. But there was loads of them mentioned. I think the 4-3 Fulham game, people talked about a couple of goals in that one. But sorry, man, I'm terrible at remembering the goals and who scored them, so I'll have to pass on that one to somebody else. 50 Ping Skiller said, we're going to win the league. Reds from upstate New York. Time to get that tattoo. Much love, Craig. You're the man. Best fan channel in the world. Appreciate you, bro. But you guys are what make it the channel it is. Like I've said so many times, man. It's easy for me to do what I do when I've got you guys being awesome in the background. According to Transfer Market website, let's have a look. The injury records, is it? Let's have a look, see. Joe said, apologies if it's already been said, but I don't think we can get both ISAK and Gordon. I agree. Like, as I said, mate, if I was a Newcastle fan and I'd seen a club wanted to take 2 of our star players, I'd be pissed off about it as well. So, I get you. So we're nearly at 1,000 votes. In fact, we've just hit it, and we said, do you think Gordon to Liverpool is possible? And the reason I asked this is because we've seen lots of stories about Luis Diaz and his future. And then John Aldridge's opinion piece today mentioned that Anthony Gordon, although we may miss this final, his exact quote was, he may have other finals for Liverpool in the future. So I wondered if Aldo maybe knew something that we didn't. But 60% of the people that voted said no, they don't think Anthony Gordon to Liverpool is possible. And the other 40% think it may be. So I guess time will tell. I'd be in the no camp personally on that one. I wouldn't think it, but I wouldn't be against it. What about Minte? Didn't he just move? If I'm not mistaken, didn't he move recently enough to Newcastle, isn't it? Or someone, whoever Minte plays for now. I think it's Newcastle, isn't it? a poll with the numbers adding up to 100. I know, Muckrab. I was surprised, mate. I was looking down and I was thinking, where's this 1% going to be? And then, like you said, it actually shows up 100%, which is rare. Brighton, sorry, yes, Yakuba Minto went. He won from Newcastle, though, right? He was a Newcastle player and then went to Brighton. Is that right? I know he was on loan in the Netherlands at Feyenoord, I think. Big love, Anfield Agenda. Your true love. Thank you, my man. Do you know what? Somebody said in the comments one day, I don't know if you've copyrighted the phrase, but much love. I didn't know that people don't say much love that often. It's something I've said my entire life. Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Right, so more news to get through because there is plenty to keep going. Let's talk about Adam Wharton for a second. Mail Sport have said that Liverpool admire Adam Wharton, but they're believed to have other priorities for the upcoming transfer window. And that's from Simon Jones via the Mail. Look, I'd love Adam Wharton, but I got to reiterate what I've said over the last few days. You've heard me banging on about a midfielder all season because I felt like we needed one this season to complement Gravenberch and give him an option. But you won't hear me complaining next season if we hear from the manager over the summer that Stefan Bajcetic is going to be that midfield presence. I'd have no problem with that. So, you know, when you see links to Adam Wharton, it's great. But let's wait and see if we need an Adam Wharton type player first and see what Arne Slot has to say in the summer. The striker from Wolves is quality if we can get him down a bit. 50 million bargain, forget ISAK. Which one is this? Which Wolves player striker is this? Because they've got Larsson, isn't that his name? They've got the youngster who Atletico Madrid are interested in. The Portuguese youngster, I think it is. And then Cunha, who I think you're probably talking about. Cunha is 62 million is his release clause. Actually, while we're talking about release clauses, I did promise you that I was going to speak about Benjamin Sesko. So a piece on Sky Sports News today said Benjamin Sesko's new release clause revealed. I believe it was Florian Plettenberg reporting it for Sky Germany. So they say a release clause for Benjamin Sesko can be activated this summer, Sky Sports News understands. It is understood it is a variable clause tied to appearances, goals and assists for RB Leipzig. The clause will start at around 60 million euro at just under 50 million pound, but could go above 80 million if certain conditions are met. It's understood that the clause is currently 75 million euro, about 62 million pound. Several English clubs have shown interest in the highly rated player, and the story was first reported in Sky Germany. So what are we saying on that one? Benjamin Sesko for somewhere between 60 and 80 million euro, which is about 50 to 66 million pound. That is an interesting proposition. My gut instinct would feel that Arsenal are more likely, having put in a lot of groundwork for him. But at 21 years of age, he should be considered, in my opinion, by Liverpool as an option. Whether Arne Slot feels he's the right option or not, you know, that's a conversation for another day. But I found that one interesting because I'd always spoken about Sesko as being one of the players that I'd really like, but I'd never seen the figures involved, and they look reasonable enough to me. Robert Lewis, thank you, my man. Much love to you as well. Major Zero said, seeing how we played in the FA, is ISAK worth 150 million? I say no, but I won't lie. I wouldn't be unhappy if we signed him either. You know, but I just don't think he's worth 150 million pound. I'd want the number at least 50 million lower, personally. Joshua said, the only way for Stefan to adapt to the Prem is game time. Sometimes you just got to let him get in the groove. Yeah, we see the best out of him when he was shoehorned into that midfield position when we were stuck and he had his real breakthrough. Then, of course, he went on loan to Salzburg, not great there. Then goes over to Las Palmas and seems to be playing a bit more over at Las Palmas. But look, I've always been somebody who fully believes in his talent. So if Arne Slot wants him back in and utilises him as Ryan Gravenberch's backup, I've no problem with that. I'd be more than happy to go into midfield options next year with him included. Right, so on Sesko, I want to just ask a straightforward question on him. Would you be interested? There you go. So I'm going to go straight to the highest value of his poll and say, or his clause, excuse me. Would you take Sesko at £65 million, which is the upper part of his clause there, about £65-66 million. So would you take Sesko at that number, or do you think maybe there's better value elsewhere? Because if you're looking at a deal, and I know we won't do this, but if you could bring in Sesko and Cunha for about 20 million less than Newcastle's asking price, and you wouldn't even have to really negotiate it because they're both on release clauses, it would seem far better money spent to me than 150 odd million on one player who has concerns about his injuries. So I know it's not going to happen. Liverpool aren't going to go out and sign Cunha and Sesko, but I'm just throwing it out there as a comparison. What about Gyökeres? I can only repeat the same things I've said all the way through. The reason we don't cover Victor Gyökeres on the channel with Liverpool is because it isn't going to happen. You know, and again, there's a reason you don't see his name being linked to us. Liverpool, from my understanding, from speaking to some journalists and people, feel that he hasn't proven himself at the highest level, and he also is getting on in years. What is he now, 27? Something like that, Victor Gyökeres. So, it just doesn't make sense to me. You're already taking a punt on Darwin, bringing him in from the Portuguese league, and that didn't work. So, I just think this isn't worth the risk when you put into his age as well. He's played in the Championship. He's played in the Portuguese league. To come in to play for a club that wants to win the Champions League, I think it's an unnecessary risk, personally. And I think the club seem to be thinking the same. Sam said, Craig, how do we look at a versatile midfielder that can play 6 and 8 roles? Makes sense, but do we need to buy one is the question, I guess, Sam. Or can Stefan Bajcetic be that guy? Can McConnell be that guy? I mean, you could make an argument for Tyler Morton, but I don't think he can. Fritz Frank said, speaking of strikers, how about this Firmino kid out in the Saudi League? Stop. Mate, stop. You know I love me a bit of Bobby, but no, those days are behind us, I think. Tanya said Santiago Jimenez was an option missed. Well, look, we know that Arne Slot would have known all about Santiago Jimenez. He's at AC Milan now, as I'm sure you're aware. But, it is what it is. It's been and gone. Want to just stick this up. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. There you go. Want to just put them up beside me in case you're wondering what this is I'm wearing. Reminder, you can get your Where's Money John hoodies, t-shirts or anything else in the link in the description. Aaron said 65 million for a 21-year-old seems like a good investment. Lots of time to amortise. Look, it seems like a good price to me as well. And that's the upper end of the release clause. So to me, it seems like there's a lot of value there. Whether he's ready to drop straight in or not, I mean, that's up to the coaches and the recruitment team to decide. But I would suggest you're going to see a host of clubs try to sign him. I know Arsenal have been long admirers of Sesko. What about Ademola Lookman? I think he's already had a couple of spells in the Prem that didn't work. And he's gone over to Atalanta. And look, I know he's had a bit of a falling out with Gasperini over comments around the penalty. But he's not good enough for Liverpool. And again, he'd be an age profile. Whereas if you're moving on Luis Diaz, I think he's a year younger maybe than Diaz, if not the same age. So again, I just don't think he's good enough. So if I was to prioritise positions this summer, it's in this order: left back, striker, centre back. They'd be my 3 key positions that I'd like to see Liverpool recruit in. It had been midfielder all season, but we're nearly through the season now, and we now have the option of bringing Bajcetic back in, and let's see what happens there. And of course, we also have Trey Neone and others coming through. James McConnell. Donal Moran says McConnell not good enough. Maybe not Donal. But again, he's a young footballer, and he's certainly done enough to impress Arne Slot. because he kept him round when Tyler Morton picked up the shoulder injury. And look, I don't know if he'll ever make it at Liverpool or not, but there's certainly enough there that has inspired Arner to at least keep him around for the time being. So he must see something in him. Excuse me. Do you think we go back in for Zubimendi? I mean, it's probably one of the most asked questions I get, and the truth is, I haven't got a clue. You know, I don't know if Arsenal really do have that deal wrapped up for Zubimendi, but, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, I don't think we need to be dropping 60 million quid on a midfielder now. I felt like it was a risk, and an unnecessary risk, to go into this season not having another top caliber midfielder in case Gravenberch gets injured or suspended or anything. But I think if the plan is to bring in Bajcetic back, I'd be fine with that. I believe in Stefan Bajcetic, so do we need to drop 60 mil? Look, if he came in, I ain't going to be unhappy, but I don't expect it really at this point. Matoma for Diaz. He's 27, heading for 28. Why would Liverpool pay that money for a player? It's, again, like, some realism. We're not going to bring in a 27-year-old Matoma for a 27-year-old Diaz. Where's the benefit in that? You know, Diaz is on a very reasonable wage of about 65 grand. Some people report it as low as 55 grand, but I think it's a bit higher. I just don't see the trade there. It doesn't seem like you're really upgrading much. And Matoma is a very good player, but just age profile, just not right. If you're going to bring it in, I would expect Liverpool to go younger. Mo is the King said Bajcetic is so much like Gravenberch as well. He's versatile, which is one thing I'd say about Stefan. You know, he can play centre back, he can play midfield, he can play as an 8 in midfield or a 6 in midfield. So that is if he has the legs, because one thing you've got to have in our midfield is the ability to get up and down the pitch, which is why I never really seen Trent as a real midfield option. Craig's #1 fan, love that account name, said 1 million is coming. I don't think we ever get to 1 million. Like, do you know what made me feel today? Like, we really don't think we'll ever get to 1 million. The club, the actual Liverpool Football Club, with all the superstars and all the everything, have just hit 10 million. And that's the club. So that made me think, oh, okay, well, if the club have just hit 10 million and they're the first Prem club to do it, the chances of me, little old gobshy here in Ireland, hitting 1 million, I don't know. I don't really see it. I don't know anything about Gavario Reid, mate. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring your comment in the chat. I don't know anything about him, so I can't really give you any input. What do you think we get for Nunez realistically? I think there's probably two numbers. There's the Saudi number and there's the real world number. If he goes to Saudi, you might get 70. If he stays in Europe, 60 would be where my head's at. But you never know with Michael Edwards or Richard Hughes, especially Edwards. Like, he's got top dollar for Liverpool players over the years. So, you know, you want the most we can get. You want the club to have them the biggest war chest that we can have. So, as much as possible. What do you think of Annie Hadji's moveset? Realistic or not? Not to say whether he's realistic or not, but I've not seen him linked too much. But that doesn't mean anything other than I haven't seen it. Would you take Kirkes or Robinson? So again, it seems like we have a hard on for 27-year-olds at the minute in the chat. We're not signing Anthony Robinson. He's too old. You're not going to go and pay 40 million quid for a left back who's going to be 28. It doesn't make any sense. Kirkes, I think Kirkes or Haddo would be the two I would hazard a guess at. If I could add a third name to that list, it would be Maxime de Kuyper from Bruges. I think he's brilliant. Maybe you get a chance to have a watch of him tomorrow. They're going to be playing Aston Villa in the 5:45 Champions League game tomorrow. But they'd be my three for left back. Kirkes, de Kuyper and Hatto. Any of those three. And Haddo is interesting as well because he can come in and play left centre back if needs be, and maybe even transition to there in the future. And I don't know if it'll come down to what money we spend elsewhere on the left back situation, or if Liverpool have a number one target and they're going to go for that target. I've seen mixed reporting. Some people think it will be Kirke, some people think it will be Hatto. The only thing I feel comfortable in saying is I think they're probably going to be somewhere about £15 million between the two of them. I think Kirkes will be the more expensive because he's played in the Premier League. Fabrizio Romano said Kirkes wants to move to a big club. Do you think we could get him, and would it be worth it? Absolutely, we could get him. I mean, I did the video with Benj Boszczak, who's a Hungarian journalist, works with Anfield Watch, and we spoke about Milos. He's interviewed Milos and knows him far better than I would. And shout out to Ben if he's watching. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, he thinks it's possible, but like me, he would think Bournemouth are going to be asking upwards of £50 million for Kirkes. You know, one thing that would go in our favour there is United don't need a left back now. They've spent that money on Patrick Dorgu, so they won't have left back money to throw around in the summer. So, you know, you'd have to make us favourites if we wanted them. But will we pay what Bournemouth are going to ask, which is probably upwards of £50 million? I don't know the answer to that one. But Fabrizio Romano's spot on in that he is looking like he's going to move. And Bournemouth have already brought in Julio Soler in January from Lanús in Argentina, which looks to be a bit of succession planning from them. They're going to bed him in over the next few months, and then if they move Kirkes on in the summer, then they're going to have another option there. Oh, I always love these comments when it's alright bro, hear me out. Let's have a look at him. Let's have a look what you said. So, alright bro, hear me out. DIAZ, Núñez, Jota for roughly 120 to 130. Cunha, Sesko and Bakayoko for around 150. Plus Haddo and Huijsen. If we did that window, mate, I'd be cartwheeling. Or at least my fat ass would be trying it anyway. But that'd be a window I'd take. I'm sure most people in the chat wouldn't be too displeased about that one. Huijsen is... I read a piece from... I think was it Robbie Fowler? Yeah, it was Robbie Fowler speaking about two people he thinks could one day replace Virgil van Dijk or are good enough to be brought into the club. And the two that he mentioned were Dean Huijsen and the other one was Van de Ven, even allowing for his injury concerns. I felt at the time, and I said it at the time, that I thought we missed a trick not getting Mickey Van de Ven. But, you know, he's had a bit of a tough time with injuries. But, yeah, Dean Huijsen, I like the look of. But I'd want a year or two for him to fill out and strengthen himself, because he looks like a very lightweight centre-back at the moment. And he's only 19, so that's absolutely normal. But I think if he fills out and he strengthens up, what a player that would be there. So I'd be absolutely on board with bringing him in. So yeah, to your question, Adam, I would not say no to a single name on that list. Bakayoko I'd be a little bit unsure of. Certainly wouldn't be my first choice for left wing, but seen a bit of a flash of brilliance in him, obviously, when he scored against us. I thought he took that goal very well. Tom Judge, how are you, my friend? And thank you for being with us as a member for 19 months, my man. Absolute top notch. Going to order some merch on payday. Can't wait. Well, you're a member, Tom, so make sure that you go onto the YouTube channel and look on the membership tab, and you'll see a code to get 10% off on your membership or any merch for members, mate. And thank you. And again, to anyone that's bought the tickets as well to come and see us in Liverpool, brilliant. We got an update last night. Delighted with the way ticket sales are going. So thank you to everyone that's bought them so far. If you're going to come and see us, remember, it is an all ages event, so it's open to everybody. Tickets are priced at £20, and we can't wait to celebrate the league title and hopefully a little bit more with everybody on May 28th. Eli Wood said, add Baleba to my wish list. Grav will need rotation next season. Yeah, the problem with that, Eli, is the £115 million price tag that's been put in his head. It's like that they got that Caicedo money and that's it now. 150 million is the only number. And we absolutely don't have a £115 million hole in midfield at the minute. But he's a great player. I'm fully with you on the choice you've made. He's a brilliant player, but not 115 million. It feels like once a player gets to Brighton, unless there's that Alexis McAllister-esque release clause in the deal, it makes it very difficult. So, we've had 700 votes or so. We need to go up to 1,000 to end it. And the question was, would you take Sesko at Liverpool? Yes or no at £65 million. Where's this one gone? Arthur, thank you, mate, said, would you settle on free David if it means additionally Kirkes, Huijsen? No. No, I wouldn't. I don't want Jonathan David. Full stop. Whether it's free or I just don't want him. I just don't think he's Liverpool caliber. So it would feel like a piss take, to be honest. Imagine we sold Darwin for 60 or 70 million to bring in a free transfer. No, it would be a no for me, mate. I think Cunha or Sesko or ISAK at a lower price would be far better. Pardon the pun, but what's on the agenda for the Hot Water Club show? So firstly, I'm gonna be interviewed by Chris, and I won't know the questions till the night. So Chris is gonna interview me on stage for the first time ever. We're gonna do a panel segment with all 5 of us where we talk about moments in the season that stood out to us. We're gonna sing a little bit and celebrate a little bit. We're gonna do Q&As. Connor's gonna come up on stage as well, and we're gonna have a more upbeat, positive, fun show. The other ones have been serious at times and a little bit up, a little bit down, but we're just going to celebrate with this one. We're going to have fun and enjoy celebrating Arne Slot's incredible first season as Liverpool coach. I can't wait. Usually I'm nervous about them, but I'm just so excited to get it back to Liverpool and share the evening with everyone. Why is DIAZ being assumed to be moving on? I'm just curious. It's been reported quite a bit. I certainly didn't expect it to be written about as much as it has been, but there's been lots of stories over the last few days about it, and the one that kind of piqued our interest today was an Anfield Watch article that said clubs are queuing up to sign Luis Diaz and Liverpool could well have a bidding war on their hands. And that kind of made me think, well, there must be something to it. We've all heard the Barcelona stuff and, we know about that interest, but I find this one tough because, he's on small money compared to the other forwards. So he deserves a pay rise. But Liverpool, it looks like, don't want to put a serious offer to him because the offers that are believed to have been put to him haven't been accepted. So maybe Liverpool just feel like with Cody Gakpo there and a younger age profile, maybe he suits Arne's system a little better, and maybe Arne feels like we could bring in a younger, hungrier midfielder there if the right move comes for Lucho. It's a tough one because certainly, I don't know a Liverpool fan that doesn't think Luis Diaz is a good player. So I don't think anybody is rushing him out the door, but we also just can't ignore the constant churning of stories linking what moves away, even sometimes from the English-based journalists. Do I know Amy Houlden? Yeah, Amy's my cousin. Yeah, of course. Amy's my cousin. She's your teacher. That's class. Yeah, of course. She's like my little sister. Amy and her 2 brothers and her younger sister, who's my godchild. They're like brothers and sisters to me. I grew up... every day I would have seen them pretty much. Yeah, Amy, Sean, Roy, and Jessica. Of course. Yeah, Amy's my cousin. I love her to bits. I found out today that my family is originally from Wexford. Nice. There you go. Happy days. It's where I live. Beautiful part of Ireland. Do you think we should have little ISAK as the mascot for the League Cup game? Look, anything that involves that little legend, I'm good with. How could you not be? He'd melt your heart. Such a wonderful young man. So if that's in the plans, and I don't know if it is or isn't, but I don't think you'd find a single fan who wouldn't be behind that idea. What an incredible young man he is. Nunez and Chiesa, 150k each per week. This two wages could be another new contract raise. Kelleher, Elliot Jones, Bradley Canada, Diaz all below 100k. Kelleher on 32k. I think Kelleher's on 10k. Mate, the last information I had was that Kelleher was on about 10 grand. Maybe there's been something I've missed there, but Nunez and Chiesa, I think maybe 10 grand lower for Nunez than you've mentioned, but I might be wrong. But either way, you're in the right ballpark. And yeah, look, the Chiesa one really has me baffled, because it's hard to make an argument that Arne Slot wanted him at the club, because we have not seen sight nor sound of him getting opportunities in a meaningful game, even when we're trailing or even when we need something late. I don't understand that one. We'll probably never find out if Arne Slot wanted him or if he was an opportunistic purchase that maybe he was on board with at the price but didn't like the look of. I don't know, but it is a confusing one, especially when you're talking about £7.5 million a year or so as a salary on top of the signing on fee. It's been the most confusing piece of business that we've done in recent years for me, because I could understand Georgi Mamardashvili. I totally understood why we took the plunge there in advance, but I don't get the Chiesa deal. I got it from the point of view of being excited about it, same as all of you, and I'd love to see him play, but we're not seeing him play. So the only real conclusion you can come to is the gaffer doesn't trust them, or didn't want them, because you can't run the fitness thing all year. You've had more than enough time to get him fit, and you can't get match fitness unless you're giving him games. So yeah, tough one that. What do Irish people think about Conor McGregor? I think you'd have to ask each individual person. I don't really give a damn what people do in their private lives, to be honest with you. It's none of my concern, but I want all Irish sports people to do well at their chosen fields of expertise, and I enjoyed Conor McGregor's rise to stardom and the journey he brought us all on with him. Do I agree with everything he's done since? Absolutely not. But again, I can't speak for the entirety of the Irish people, but yeah, it's a shame we didn't see him fight more in the latter part of his career, is what I'd say. And obviously he had the broken foot or the broken leg and stuff, which was a horrendous injury. But I'd prefer to say I can tell you categorically that all Irish people would absolutely be behind Katie Taylor, as an example, who is my personal sporting hero from Ireland. I think she's the greatest athlete our country's ever produced in any sport, male, female. I think she's incredible. But look, you could say the same about me, right? Anyone that knows me either likes me or hates me. I wouldn't dare to say that all one group of people think one way or the other. So that's why I can't really answer the McGregor question for you. But I'll tell you one thing. When his career was on the up, he stirred a support and a following of Irish fans like I can't remember in my lifetime. Like, it was a movement when McGregor was coming up. Like, it's something truly incredible to withhold and to see here in Ireland. Like, I'd often be driving home from a friend's house at 5 or 6 in the morning after a UFC card, and you'd see lads in tricolours and McGregor tops walking home 6-7 o'clock in the morning from their mates' golf with bags of cans, and the country came to a standstill when he fought. Same with Katie, to be fair. Von Rich said Chiesa was a cheap buy, but his weekly salary shouldn't be over 100k at the moment. At least give him 80k for the first 2 years before he proved his worth. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the summer there with Chiesa, because whatever we think about what Arne Slot thinks, he's basically had a year of his career now where he hasn't played football. After coming from Juventus, where he wasn't really getting much football towards the latter part of his time there. Certainly when they brought in the new manager, Thiago Motta. He wasn't getting much of a look in there, so he's going to want to play. And I can't imagine he's been overly happy about what the season transpired like for him. K-Money said, I live in Australia and I would absolutely love to move to Ireland or England. Well, I'll swap. I'll move to Australia, mate. You can move here. Yeah, look, I love my country, but I don't like the price of living in this country. You know, the Irish people are the only thing that kind of keeps me here. Because I think without being arrogant about it, I think the Irish people are the best in the world. But it's a fucking fiercely expensive country to live in. And look, you live in Australia, which I know isn't that cheap as well, but man, it's expensive living here. Look, quick couple of things, ladies and gents. If you can, please do drop a like for me on the stream. Really appreciating your support. We've got loads still to go through, so keep your comments coming in. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Surfshark. We already played the ad, so I won't be ramming it down your throat again, but thank you to them for their support. So, we only need 40 more votes, and the question is, would you take Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig for £65 million, which is the upper end of his release clause? And once we get to those 1,000 votes, we'll end it and see what you think, but it's fairly close. Prices are absolutely through the roof, spitting facts. Mate, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, even normal shit. It's crazy. Like, when we were doing the tickets for our live show, I thought £20 was... I felt bad at £20. But it had to be the price because you have to cover stuff. But I felt bad. But then you see other, you know, much more famous people, let's say, and you see the prices of the gigs, like hundreds of quid to go see someone these days. Even takeaways, like a fish and chips, sometimes 13 quid. I don't know where people are getting the money to live these days because... You know, this channel's up my spending power a little bit, and I find myself shaking my head going, I'm not paying it. I'm just not paying. Even buying my car. Like, I bought a Renault, and it was the guts of 60 grand for a Renault. It was €58,000 to drive a Renault. Welcome to modern Ireland. It's mad. You know, 50 quid's nothing anymore. We went to get cereal in the shop today. It was €6. So my wife got me. I like certain crisps, right? I like Skips. I like potato occasions. And I went into the shop the other day with my wife, and I said, I'm going to grab myself a bag of Skips and a bag of potato occasions. And do you know how much a bag of Skips was in Tesco? Do you know, the big bag, like the sharing bag. Do you know how much it was in Tesco? €3.10 for a bag of Skips. Chocolate bars, 160, 170, and they're fucking tiny. Magnums, I seen one on the ad the other day and I had to stop it and say to my wife, is this an ad for Magnum Minis? Like, look, I don't want to be that old lad moaning about prices, but my God, it's ridiculous. €3.10 for a bag of Skips. That's 160 for a Star Bar. That's crazy. Pancake day tomorrow. Oh, I know, Nick. I had some pancakes last night with cream and maple syrup. I do love me some pancakes. Dave said, cost me £42 last night for 2 Indian meals. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, 42 quid, Dave. Like, think of what you'd fill up in the supermarket if you were being careful at 42 quid. Like, it's crazy, isn't it? Renault to Toyota of Europe. So look, I have a Toyota as well. I have a Toyota van, but I used to stay clear of French cars, to be honest with you. But Renault in the last 10 years have been incredible, and the quality. Like, I'll be honest, I looked at a Mercedes and I looked at a Renault, and I bought the Renault. Didn't think I'd say that 10 years ago. Could have had a brand new CLA or the Renault I bought. And I looked at them both, and I thought the Renault was better value. So I went with the Renault. And it was more expensive than the Mercedes. Do you get noticed often when you're out? Sometimes. Sometimes at the airport, always. But I went to the Celtic Henrik Larsson show the other night. Nobody came up to me. Nobody recognised me. And sometimes you can tell if someone recognised you just from the glances. But yeah, didn't get recognised at all. And it was cool. Same as it is if you do get recognised. But the airport always get recognised at the airport. Which is still weird. Luigi said, "Hey Craig, thanks for making me a Liverpool fan awesome." Man, thank you. And thank you for the great moments and making my day. Man, you're a gent. Thank you. Buy a beer in a Swiss nightclub. Good luck, mortgage that beer. Mate, I couldn't even tell you what a pint costs now because I don't really drink, but I would venture to say you wouldn't get a pint for less than $6.50 probably in where I live. And I know people who've been in Temple Bar and paid 12 and 13 quid for a pint of Guinness, which is fucking scandalous. What's a good first car for someone in their 20s? Whatever you can afford. So most people when you start driving go for the old want the old boy racer cars. I must have been born an old man, because for me it's always been big and comfortable. Whatever the biggest, most comfortable car I could afford is that keeps me safe, that's top priority. I never cared about speed or going, doing up a car or any of that stuff. Never. I just want something comfortable and safe. That's how boring I am. Anyway, we're getting away from football. Let's get back to the football talk. After one more. Favourite pancake topping. All in all, it has to be part of something, but probably banana. Some caramelised banana on pancake with maple syrup and cream. Oh my god. Just heaven. Absolute heaven. Price of a pint of Coors jumped by 20 cents to $6.10 at my local. Ooh, I'm glad I don't drink. Obviously, I partake in herbal infusion instead. I've never really liked drink. I get really bad hangovers. So, I'd be in bed for a day or two after a night's drinking. It's not worth the hassle when you get older and you've got kids and you've got to do things the next day. Have I ever had deep fried Oreos? No, I haven't. I've had deep fried, what are they called? The other American things? Twinkies. I've had a deep fried Twinkie. Yes. And a deep fried Mars bar. Yes. But never had the Oreo one. I finally overcome my asthma. I'm so proud of myself. I've lost 6 stone. That's brilliant. I noticed when I lost all that weight once upon a time as well that I didn't have to use my inhaler too much. So well done you. Proud of you, mate. Well done. Was I born in Wexford? No, I was born in what I call Loughlinstown Hospital or St Columkills Hospital in Loughlinstown, South County, Dublin. And I lived in Dublin till I was 19, maybe 20 actually. And then I moved to Wicklow, then to Laois to Wexford, and then I've been in 3 different parts of Wexford since. But I've lived in the house I'm in now about, I think 14 years. Next month we've been here. Craig, can you please do more prediction videos? Well, I hope this will make you happy, but I'm doing one every week now for the Premier League because of what you've said. The feedback was great and I enjoyed making them. So, yeah, I did out my predictions for the weekend earlier on today, and I'm going to send them over to Connor later, and we'll do that video probably go out on Friday. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, so thank you. I enjoyed making it. It's weird, though. No matter how old I am or how long I live in Wexford, I'm always going to think of myself as a Dub. Always. I'm very proud to have grown up in Dublin. I've been getting bullied in school recently and your videos motivate me. Well, look, Ollie, thank you about the videos, my man, but that's irrelevant. The point I will say to you is, one thing you need to understand with any bully, Ollie, anyone, at any point in life, is it's nothing about you, it's about them. And I say that with confidence that everybody will back me up. It's never about you, mate. It's always about their own insecurities and they're projecting onto you. And look, as men and young men, bravado, machismo, wanting to be seen as domineering, hard, tough, it's something that I think we all default to when growing up. I certainly did. I wanted to be like my dad, a big, strong, tough man. But then I realised that's kind of not me, and it took me till in my 30s to realise. But I was bullied at points in my life. I fought back, because my dad wouldn't have accepted otherwise, and he taught me some valuable lessons. But it's not about you, my man. So don't ever feel bad about you. Don't let them have that power, man. Fuck them, because it's about them. So if anything, Ollie, they're hurting, is all I want to say to you, mate. They're hurting. It isn't about you, bro. And make sure that you do speak up and talk to somebody as well if it's becoming too much for you, mate. Always speak up. There's always somebody there to help. And maybe these other people need help as well. I certainly know later in life when I met back up with people who I'd had run-ins with, I knew they were facing their own issues and problems, and they were just projecting them out as well. So you be you, my man, but please don't feel like there's nothing wrong with you. It's not you. That's the problem. It's them. Why don't we try to sign Victor Osimhen? I don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. I'd seen a really weird article the other day that said that Napoli are willing to offer Victor Osimhen in part exchange to Manchester United. Now, that wasn't really the weird part. The weird part is what came next. It said, and Napoli don't mind which United player they offer. It's like, are you that desperate to get rid of Osimhen that you take any player from United that they throw your way? I don't know. Just there must be some reason why nobody's willing to really bring Osimhen and pay the money. And I wouldn't even have him in my top 5 players that I want Liverpool to sign. Maybe even further down the list. I just don't think he's good enough. Charlie, how are you, sir? So Charlie said, Craig, do you realistically think that ISAK would sign for Liverpool over the likes of Arsenal or PSG? 100% yes. And I believe he said as much himself in the past. Like, put it this way. If you were Alexander Isak and you had an offer, and every one of these offers were the same in contract value. So, excuse me. Let's say everybody offered him 200 grand a week, just for argument's sake. And you've got Paris Saint-Germain, Arsenal and Liverpool. Realistically, taking our Liverpool bias out of it, where are you going to go to? The only argument I could sit here and make for either of the other two is the destinations. So London or Paris. But I'm not a city person, so it doesn't appeal to me personally. I'd much rather live on the outskirts somewhere in Cheshire or somewhere like that. But honestly, from a footballing perspective, it should be a no-brainer. Go play for the team that you will bang in 30 goals a season for, win a Premier League and probably a European Cup. And that answer isn't Arsenal. And Paris Saint-Germain, for all their flashiness, nobody cares about the French League. Let's be honest, they don't. It's not anything that... They struggle to get sponsors. The television revenues are terrible. Who cares about the French League? So, genuinely, yeah, I feel like if Liverpool went in with those two clubs, it should be a no-brainer. Because we're the best project. With a manager who has already shown, that he knows how to improve players, and Arteta has done a good job at Arsenal, a very good job at Arsenal, but you're going in there and all the pressure is on your shoulders, all of it, because Arsenal have, outside of Saka, no real talisman there. But if you come into Liverpool, you've got goals all over the shop, so there's less pressure. I just think it's the best move. But I would say that, wouldn't I? I'm a Liverpool fan. Over the likes of Arsenal. Come on, mate. Well, I don't know. Like, what is there that's better about Arsenal than Liverpool? Genuinely. You said, come on, mate. What is there that's better? They've never won a European Cup. They haven't won a league in 20 years. What's better about Arsenal than Liverpool? Nowhere near as big a club. Nowhere near as big a worldwide fan base. What is there that's the big selling point other than living in London, which to me wouldn't be a selling point because I'm not a city dweller, like I've said. So I don't get it. Do you want to see the deserve to win meter every week? I don't know. To me, Liverpool are 10 times the club Arsenal are in every fucking way. Simple as that for me. But yeah, there you go. That's my take on it. But of course, other people are entitled to their opinions. I just don't think there's much of a pull there to go and play for Arsenal when you throw Liverpool into the mix. So there you go. That's my take on it. They've got a great cameraman. That's a fair show, Jonesy lad, yeah. Jay said, we are seriously interested in Sesko. Had a meeting with his agency and club at the end of January. I hope we are, Jace, because I love the idea of Sesko. Sesko and Cunha seem the value signings to me of these names. But we asked you guys, and 53% said they would take Sesko at 65 million, and 47% said they would not. In fairness, the person that commented all Arsenal need is a 9. But you're missing the point of his comment. The point was, why would they go to Liverpool over Arsenal? Come on, mate. So the point was, they're trying to say Arsenal is a better club, a bigger draw. And I very, 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 very much disagree with that. And so would anybody who's a football historian. Liverpool are a far bigger club than Arsenal. It's not even a question. 6 European Cups to none. One of them is the most successful club in English football history, which is going to stretch that when they add another Premier League title. It's not even a debate. Arsenal are a great club. You certainly have a chance to win stuff if you go there. But it's not comparable to me. Way bigger. Any news on Jarell Hatto? Just the stuff you've already seen, Ollie. Liverpool interested, other clubs interested. You'd have to say we certainly won't be lacking in information for Hatto. Where was this piece earlier on? Let me just get my notes open here. Yeah, where's it gone? Right. Sorry, I pressed up too far there on the old mouse. Right, here we go. So, this piece here from Graham Bailey said, Liverpool were represented at Ajax last weekend as they watched long-term target Jarell Hatto in a 2-0 win against Go Ahead Eagles, and Hatto impressed Liverpool and was also wanted by Jurgen Klopp as far back as 2023. So there you go. I don't know if you watched the news video earlier on, but I want to bring this up again. They're already selling Liverpool Champions 2025 t-shirts on Sports Direct. I'm not joking. You can go on right now and look. Go on to Sports Direct, type in the word Liverpool, and it'll be probably the 4th or 5th thing that comes up. Liverpool FC Champions 2025 for €11.99 at Sports Direct, or $9.99 for the kids' ones. And people thought I was jumping the gun by saying we're going to win the league. Paddy Power have paid out, and Sports Direct are already selling Liverpool are Champions t-shirts. There you go. So, I think the general consensus is we're winning this league. Better project. What's a better project? I don't know what you mean. You just said better project. I need context, mate. If you think Arsenal's a better project, really? One of them spent 700 million and won nothing. Oh, sorry, one FA Cup. And the other club has spent less than half and won everything. So I know where the better project is in my eyes, and maybe you're agreeing with me, I don't know, but as I said, I can't tell from your context of just saying better project. Going to play for defensively minded Arteta, I don't think that's a sexy prospect for a striker, Get back here and defend. But don't worry, we love a set piece. When do you think we have the league won by? Arsenal fans are getting giddy. They played 3 games before we play. Arsenal can get giddy all they fucking want. They ain't winning diddly shit in the Premier League this year. Arsenal's games against United away, that's going to be a difficult one. We play Southampton at home at the weekend, so I feel pretty happy about our future. I mean, we're going to have 10 to go, and we're going to have to lose, what, 4 of them? We've lost 1 all season. Yeah. Look, we've had a tough end to the season. We've always said that when we've looked at the fixtures. Our running is difficult, but the damage has been done now, and Arsenal ain't getting back in the title race. Kirkes can't defend, even though he's great going forward. I saw him scared to defend against Salah. Look, whoever we bring in, I will back Arne Slot and the recruitment team's research on their defensive abilities over yours or mine. And I included myself in there, so you don't think I'm being rude, but I just want the manager to get who he wants, and then I'll support him and the players. It's simple as that with me. If Arne Slot has list A, B, C, D, I want them to get every one of them, and then we can go on, and then it's on his shoulders. Do you think... sorry, Craig, who do you think's the perfect Salah successor? Oh, even if he gets the contract, which at this point feels like it's never happened. I don't know, mate, because if I was pushed right now to make a move this summer, I'd probably get Mbeumo. But you know, he's not going to replicate Mo's numbers. But then again, you have to start a conversation by saying nobody's going to replicate his numbers. So I like the idea of Mbeumo at 24. I like a lot about the guy. I like his work rate. I like his availability. He's pretty rigid, bulletproof injury-wise. Premier League tested. Great aura about him. A real fighter, a battler. And I like that in a player. So, yeah, I would say maybe him right now, but we have time to succession plan if we get Mo a new deal. And I'm hoping that somebody emerges over there. Maybe it's Kumas, maybe it's Nico Williams, maybe it's, who knows, could be anyone. But I hope we have more time on our hands to find out the answer than having to try and rush it through this summer. And on that, I wanted to kind of touch on the contract situation a little bit. Greg Evans done a piece today where he said Mamardashvili does not see himself as anything other than a number one. While he's fully respectful of Alisson, he signed for Liverpool with the intention of playing and not sitting on the bench. Interesting. Ian Doyle of The Echo said, Liverpool are continuing with attempts to thrash out new deals for top scorer Mohamed Salah and skipper Virgil van Dijk, who, like Alexander-Arnold, are at present set to leave on a free transfer in the summer. It gets a bit tiring hearing the same crap put out all the time, that Liverpool are hopeful, Liverpool are optimistic, Liverpool are working on. All we want to hear is that Liverpool have done, because Hughes has taken the piss with how long he's tried to negotiate these deals, and to have not got one of them over the line is nothing short of unacceptable for me as a fan anyway. And I can only speak for me, but it's piss take that we're still here, because apparently we want them all to stay, but we can't find a number to make them stay. But also, money's no object this summer, and Liverpool are going to spend a load of money in the transfer market. But also, we have to be careful because these lads want a lot of money. None of it adds up to me. You know, like I've said, if Liverpool had the intention of wanting these done, they could get them done, and get them done a hell of a lot quicker than they have been. So, what do you guys think about the situation? Do you buy that Liverpool are still trying to trash out all these deals and have been, you know, really making a concerted effort to get them all done over the last 7 or 8 months, but have just been unable to find a way? That stinks to me. It's always stunk to me. Because how can you get a transfer done for a player in a couple of weeks? Look at Dominic Szoboszlai. Went in, done, dusted in 48, 72 hours. And always, there's talk about Conor Bradley, by the way, in a new deal. I'm going to cover that in tonight's roundup video coming up at about 11, so keep an eye out for that one. Forest win 5-4 on penalties. Thank you to everyone keep me up to date with that one. Mukarab said, based on the only vague offer we know Salah was offered, it's pathetic. Mukarab, if you're, yeah, I know what you're speaking about, mate, and I agree. If that offer that that Egyptian journalist mentioned that was significantly less than he's currently on, if that's the type of offers that are being pushed across the table, my question is, do you know what? Not even my question. Simple statement. I'm going to write this out as a poll for the last 15 minutes, so bear with me. How do I phrase this bit? So, what? Yes, I'm sitting here in front of a screen with a light on talking, so yes, I'm still working.
No, I didn't hear you talking since I came in the door.
And then I have a video to do afterwards in which I'll still be working.
Okay.
So, anyway, to get back to the stream.
You were quiet when I came in.
It's because I was typing and I'm too stupid to think and type at the same time.
That'll be man brain. That's what happens to me.
Do you have a man brain then?
One thing. No.
I'm getting cold. Can you close the door? Can you close the door, please? I'm getting cold.
Oh, the poor baby. He's so cold.
Anyway, sorry about the tiny little human interrupting. Quick question. Do you think the journalists have pushed hard enough on the contract situations? Because I don't. And I want to know what you guys think. Because it feels to me like I think they've taken the piss. Because they all wrote that it was priority number one for Hughes. But where's the pushback on Hughes? I've not seen it. Have you seen any clips of any of these journalists in the press conference or writing out to say that Richard Hughes has taken the piss and hasn't got these deals sorted out and that it's a failure to do so? Because like I've said many times, they all wrote, every single one of them, that it was priority number one when he came in the door in the summer. And now here we are, March, and not one of them done. And I've not seen a critical word written about it. All I've ever seen is Liverpool are hopeful, Liverpool are optimistic, Liverpool believe this, Liverpool that, but never, this isn't good enough. How on earth are you shitting the bed so much? None of it. And it's appalling. Appalling to me that they get away with it. Pushed hard enough. I don't think they've pushed it all. They just keep asking slot and press conferences. Exactly. And this is the thing. These people sit there and think that they are important and think that they are the bastions of morality around football and the questions and the probing. And all that they are yes men and lackeys that sit there and don't ask the tough questions and don't call out the failures of the club. It's okay to be critical of something you love. Every person in your life that you love, you have at some point or another disagreed with stuff on and said it as much. And that's okay. You don't have to be as blunt about it as I would be, but to not ask how we're here, I find it astonishing that they don't get called out more by the readership, if they still have any. The whole thing, I know they hate being called cowards, but, you know, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, quack. I think it is extremely piss poor that they consider themselves journalists, but yet are basically afraid to be critical. And not critical for the sake of being critical. It's a situation that should be called out, because you can't keep saying the club wants it, they're desperate for it, they really are hoping, and then not question the failures to get it done. Fucking dopes, honestly, absolute clowns, and I'm sick of them. Sick of them looking down on people. I'm sick of them sitting there not doing their jobs and wanting a pat on the back and an attaboy for being nothing but fluffers. So, to the 16%, if you're one of the 16% so far who have said yes, they have pushed hard enough, please explain where you've seen this, and I'll happily go and have a read of it and come back on and tell you that I'm wrong. Because I've not seen it, and I like to think I'm pretty good at covering the bases for Liverpool content. I read a lot, I watch a lot. Only clips though, to be honest. I don't watch every stream of everyone, but I do see clips every now and again. And I struggle to see who these 70% of people are. So look, you voted. So if you voted and said yes, explain to me and let me know where I can see the pushback that you've seen that maybe I've missed. Because I think you're full of shit. Sorry. I do. I think anyone that's voted in there to say yes they have, you're either not a Liverpool fan or stirring shit, because as I said, I don't see how you can. I don't think it's even a subjective thing, to be honest with you. Michael said, Craig, we're not going to see them in a Liverpool shirt next season, are we? Do you know what? I think we do. I think we do, but I think the club are playing a dangerous game, and I think it's trying to get the lowest deal that they'll sign. And it's great if it works, but I think ultimately it could also lead to a feeling of disrespect, or, you know, imagine being Virgil and Mo or Trent and reading about the payoff to Klopp and his backroom staff, but no money for you. You know, they walked away and left the club, but no money for you. You know, quit the club, here's 10 million. Which is fine, but you can't then say no money for the top goal scorer, no money for the captain. That is a very risky strategy, in my opinion, and one that leaves them open to feelings of feeling disrespected. Have you noticed that since I called out to people who said yes, there's more of them voting yes in the chat, as if they're just trying to bait me into more anger? So I see you. I see you people who are voting yes, but I've not seen any of you yet who've backed up your yes with a reason. Is there a reason for that? So come on. If you voted yes and you think the journalists are doing enough, explain. Explain to me where it is and where you think they've pushed back. And if you can't explain it to me, then I'm going to have to just assume that you're baiting. Pasky said 3 generational talents at this moment in time could be leaving the club at the end of the season. Those journos simply respond, oh well, it's a shambles, they should be demanding get these done. Is it worth getting our hopes up for ISAK? Is it actually possible? Dan, I don't know is the honest answer, my friend. I would be astonished if we paid anything close to £150 million, which has been mentioned in a lot of places as the figure Newcastle want. And look, Newcastle have every right to ask what they want for their player, but I'm not getting my hopes up on it until I see. Look, if Newcastle don't make Champions League, I maybe feel a little bit more optimistic on it, but truth is I couldn't sit here and give you a categorical answer one way or the other because I don't know. Kathy's made a really good, and I know it seems a simplistic point, Kathy, but you've hit the nail on the head, mate. You've said the club wants them to stay, the players want to stay, so what's the hold up? You ain't wrong, Kathy. You ain't wrong. Look, Trent, we know it may be a decision that isn't on the club's side. Trent might have to make up his mind, but that point, Kathy, I can't get away from. What is the hold up? If everybody wants it, if they want it and the club want it, what's the hold up? You're right. Stooby-Doo said, I've begun to relax about Virgil and Mo's contracts as I think they'll be sorted. I think they will as well, for what it's worth, mate. I do. I think they get done. But I think it could have been done a lot sooner with a lot less anxiety throughout everyone. And I felt like, it was an unnecessary distraction that could have caused some issues at the end of the season. Now, thankfully, things are going well, and we're all very happy for that. And I agree. I think they get done as well. But I don't know what's taken so long. And I'll never know why it took so long. I think they pushed enough in the start of the season, but lately they haven't pushed enough at all. They haven't even spoken about the contract situation in the last 2 to 3 months, said Sofas. JCF102 said the whole situation is disrespectful and pathetically cheap. The club are acting like these 3 contracts that they need to sort can't be cheap forever. Nobody will stay, said Trey. The longer they don't sign, the more Mo and Verge are proving they're worth more than what's been offered, said Mukrab. Yeah, and I think Mukrab, I think Arneslot said something similar the other day, that basically the more Mo scores and the better he's playing, the more they're going to have to pay, which I guess is the downside of the gamble if you're the club. Because if you were hoping that you could knock the price down by them maybe not having a great season, well then, whoops. You know, thankfully for us fans, they've had a brilliant season. And now it's going to be an even bigger shitstorm if they don't get sorted out. Because you cannot sell that to a fan base. Oh, we think they might have fallen off. Well, he's just literally smashed every record. But what? But you're cheap. Would you get Kirkes and Cunha for the guts of 100 mil? 62. Just over. 62 million pound, 62.5 million pound, I think, is the release clause for Matheus Cunha. And I would guess Bournemouth are going to want 50 million for Kirkes. Some people think 40. I think they're going to ask more. But I think we see one of Hato or Kirkes at Liverpool. And look, honestly, I'm good with either. But you can guarantee if one gets injured, the offer is reduced to an injury record, even though Salah's missed like 10 games. But this is something as well that we don't think about from the player side. So if one of them does, like let's say one of them did an ACL, they've got no guarantees for their families then moving forward. So to want these guys to go out and leave it all out there on the pitch and be pros, put their bodies on the line, live the right lifestyle, play like animals and machines, run up and down the pitch. You want the buy-in, but you don't seem to have the faith to pay them. I, as a player, would find that incredibly undermining if I was in their situation. And I think it's only out of their respect for the fans and the club, and you can see how much Virgil and Mo love the club, and Trent's already spoken about his own feelings of love growing up as a Liverpool fan. It doesn't feel like the club are saying, we believe in you guys, we think you should be here for 2 more years. You know, it doesn't feel like we're in a great rush to show them that faith. What have you got? Dave, how are you, my man? Said, how does Canade rate against Prime, Agger or Hyypiä? Better than Agger, not as good as Hyypiä yet, would be my answer. Daniel Agger was very good, but if you look at it, like whole passages of time where he was able to be fit and available, probably a handful of seasons. Sami Hyypiä, to me, might be a generational thing, but he was as good as I've seen. You know, outside of Virgil, Sammy'd be the next name on my list. I didn't see Alan Hansen playing, so I'm sure people will tell me that Jockey was incredible, which I'm sure he was, but I didn't get to see him playing. So yeah, Sami Hyypiä to me would be second on my list of Liverpool centre-backs after Virgil. But Canade, man, what a ceiling that man has. And again, it annoys me that he wants to stay and we seemingly can't get that done either. So again, you can see we're clearly being trolled by people who think the journalists have done enough, the 22%, because not one of them have quantified why in the chat. They voted because they're not Liverpool fans, or I don't know, but not backing it up in the chat. Because I guarantee if I ask people for the reasons, and they've given it to me, why they don't think the journalists have done enough, you can see them up and down the chat. But I've yet to see one, and I could have missed one, bona fide answer to tell me why they think they have done enough. But, you know, I'm thankfully in a good mood tonight, and I'm not going to be baited into getting annoyed about something. But I don't believe that 22% for 1 second. Craig, just wondering, why is there no links to another midfielder to help Gravenberch in rotation? We had a fear during the season about fatigue and injury. Just wondering your thoughts. So, you're absolutely right, Shane, about my thoughts about fear of injury throughout the season. But over the last few days, I've kind of been sitting back and thinking a bit. And look, we're at a point now this season, Shane, where as soon as the window closed in February, we had what we had for the rest of the campaign. And it was time to hope that we got through. And, you know, touch wood, so far, so good. But going into the summer, if I heard the words from Arne Slot that Stefan Bajcetic is going to be that extra body to rotate in for Ryan or to learn from him or cover for him, I'd be absolutely sound about that. So until we know what the manager wants there, that's why I haven't been speaking about it as much. Because we took the gamble this season, it looks like we've gotten away with it, but we do need that body. I think maybe that body could be Bajcetic coming back in. And if that's the case, then you could say, well, do we need to spend 60 million on a Zubimendi or somebody else? And the answer is probably no. But it's a tough one because you're right, I have, and many people have felt we took a risk this year of not getting that extra body. But if it's Bajcetic, well then, I'm personally okay with that, but you know, I can't speak for everyone. And also, there still have been some tentative links. Like if you remember a few weeks back, there was the stuff about Zaire Emery being linked to Liverpool. Baleba has been linked a little bit as well. We've spoken about Zubimendi, of course, but it's going to be an interesting one. For me, it's fallen down the priority list a little bit as we approach the next window. I meant to bring that back up. I fear how we handle Canade, VVD, Mo contract will deter potential new signings. I don't know what knock-on effect it might have. Maybe it has some, maybe it has none. Canade, yes, but with Virgil and Mo, you'll always have the age excuse as a potential reason. To be careful, at least. But Canade, yeah, I don't get it. And how you let Trent get here, I'll never understand either. Endo still has life for the last couple of years. Yeah, I do, but, you know, weirdly, I've included Endo in when I've said that. I think Endo's won slot around a little bit as the season's gone on. I think his professionalism, and you can see him being utilised now as the closer, as we like to say, come in for the last 10-12 minutes, shore up the midfield or defence, and if he's happy for that role, and brilliant. I think everyone wins from that situation, but also if Watoro feels he'd like to move on, you know, I don't think the people stand in his way. So Mark just messaged me to say the only excuses I've seen from people are saying that they clicked the wrong one, which is fair enough. Charlie said, hey Craig, hope you're well. Sorry I missed the ISAK update or us making contact. Happy to read it back out for you, my man. Happy you've asked so kindly as well in the chat. So it comes from Sasha Tavalieri, and he said, and credit to the Anfield Talk for this post, they say Liverpool are in contact with Alexander Isak's representatives and are prepared to make an offer in the summer. Newcastle price tag is £150 million. So according to him, contact has been made. Let's wait and see what happens. I just think that the asking price though was just too much. Salah learned from Totti. Said, hey, look, Salah has been incredible. Absolutely incredible. Did I see this season coming from Mo? No, didn't. I expected him to contribute as he always does, but the assists in particular this season, I mean, he's gone to another level. And we're all talking about a player, and even journalists that don't really have an affinity to Liverpool are talking about him being the leading Ballon d'Or contender at the minute. And nobody will really question that Virgil's the best centre-back in the world. So you've got the guy who's probably going to win the Ballon d'Or, or is at least a front runner for it, and the best centre-back in the world, both wanting to stay at our club. The club, according to all the journalists, really wanted to happen, but yet we haven't been able to get it done in 7 or 8 months, and there's no criticism of that. Weird. I mean, no criticism from the journalists, sorry. I find that really odd. Because, a bit of pressure from the journalists and the fans, and maybe we can see the contracts get done. How much do you think we get for Núñez? 60 if he stays in Europe, 70 if he goes to Saudi would be my guess. But you never know with Edwards. He's been known to get top dollar for players, and it's one part that I've always sung his praises on. Some of the money he got on Bournemouth for players over the years has been tremendous. Right, so we won't get to 1,000 votes because we're about to finish up, but we asked, do you think the journalists have pushed hard enough with the contract situation? 77% say no, and 23% have lost their damn minds or clicked the wrong button. One or the other. But love you guys. Right, look, ladies and gents, again, last couple of shouts. Our live show tickets are on sale. If you want to get yours, you can do it with the link pinned to the top of the chat or in the description. And as you can see, I am wearing my Where's the Money John hoodie, which arrived today. So if you want to treat yourself, if you're a member, you get 10% off. Check the membership tab of the channel for the code there. And I will see you guys tomorrow. There's a recap video coming out in a few minutes with some new news in it as well. We're going to be talking about Conor Bradley. A bit of a story developing around him. So do keep an eye out for that. And I will see you guys then tomorrow. The preview is coming out tomorrow morning for the PSG game. That'll be out, I think, at about 9 or 10 o'clock. And then I'll see you tomorrow evening. Much love, my friends. Enjoy your night. Thanks for dropping in. Talk